everybody, and welcome to my live show here again on Friday night. It doesn't half come round quickly. For those of you that have never seen me before, I'm a romantic suspense author, and at the end of the show I will put a note of my website if you're interested in taking a look at my work and what I do. However, as this is my behind the scenes show, regular viewers will know that this is all about my guests. And tonight I am joined by someone who has what I think is actually a fascinating job. So I'm interested to hear all about it. I put it in my card if any of you have seen it. But her name is Tina Shang. And I think the easiest thing for me to do is to hand over to you for her to explain. Sorry, hand over to her for her to explain. That's it. Got it right. Exactly what it is that she does. So firstly, I want to say welcome to the show. And I am going to press the right buttons. One of these days, I'm going to be fluent at this, I promise. And I'm going to bring Tina in now. Here we go. Hi, Tina.
Hello. How are you today? Tonight for you? Today for me?
Tonight, yes, it's evening. Let me just get rid of that one. Okay, and then we can both be on the screen together. Yes, I'm good, thank you. Yes. So what time is it where you are? You're obviously in America.
It's 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Okay, so we are 6 hours ahead of you then.
Right.
Yeah. So what's your weather doing? It's very cold over here at the moment.
Well, it's probably 45 Fahrenheit. So I don't know what that is because you guys do Celsius. We've had snow, and I live in the South in the U.S. in Tennessee, and snow pretty much cripples us because we never get it.
Okay.
My kids have been home all week. They've been out of school, and we haven't left the house. And today it's warm enough that the snow has melted away. And by tomorrow it's supposed to be like spring weather. So,
wow.
Yeah, we have crazy weather here. If you don't like the weather, wait a few days. It'll change.
So how far south are you then?
I am in Tennessee, so I have like Alabama, Florida before I get down to the coast. Actually, you can get to the coast from Alabama, but Georgia. So
is it normally pretty hot?
It's pretty warm, yeah. Yeah. We don't get much in the way of snow here. Now, some parts of Northeast Tennessee and Northwest Tennessee are mountainous, and so they get snow. But where I'm at, it just doesn't happen very often. I'm about to be 47, and the only big snow that I can even remember was around 93. And I think we had maybe a couple of feet of snow, which was really unusual for us.
Gosh.
I love it. This whole week looking out, right out here, which you can't see, but in front of my desk is a big picture window. And so it's like, I'll answer that question in a second. So to me, it looks
I was going to say there's a couple of hellos there, and
I'll answer that in a second. It's funny too, so I've got a story to tell you with that. But so looking out my window was like looking at a screensaver because it was just this white and had just a light snow falling, and it was so beautiful. I love it, but we can't drive in it.
No, well, we are rubbish over here as well when it snows. We up north, they tend to get more snow than we do, but we don't get, where I live, we don't get a huge amount. And yeah, the whole country grinds to a halt. We are completely useless if we get snow. So
I'm glad we're not the only ones.
No, I'm with you there. So let's just quickly say hi to Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
And Sandra actually tends to try and catch us most weeks. So it's lovely to have her along again today. And hello to Mark. This is
Mark.
my husband who very bravely watches every one of my shows. And obviously, I think it was the Jack Daniels question that you were going to answer, was it?
Right. Yeah. So I live about 10 minutes from Jack Daniels. And I've lived here my entire life. So in 2012, I traveled to London for a study abroad trip. I got to spend 3 weeks there. I love it. I would live there in a heartbeat. Absolutely loved London. The whole time I was there, as soon as I spoke and people figured out I was from Tennessee, the first thing they would say is, "Do you drink Jack Daniels?" And so to me, that was absolutely hysterical because I thought in my mind, when people think of Tennessee, they think of the Smoky Mountains, they think of country music. You know, I had all these ideas of what people think about when they think of Tennessee. And Jack Daniel's was never in that for me until I traveled outside of the United States. And everyone always wants to know about Jack Daniel's. And so, no, I don't drink it. I don't like it at all. I don't like any kind of whiskey. So no offense to Jack Daniel's. I just don't like whiskey. So 2 years ago, I finally went to Jack Daniel's and did the tour. Had never been there my whole life, even though I live here. But I thought after going to, you know, study abroad, and the following year I went to South Africa, and it was the same thing. When people found out I was from Tennessee, that was the question they asked. So I thought to myself, I should probably know something about Jack Daniel's for when I study abroad and people ask me.
So now you know.
Yes. So it was a lovely tour. It's really interesting. The town that it's in is called Lynchburg, Tennessee, which if you drink Jack Daniel's, you know it's on the bottle. It's a really quaint, lovely little southern town. So I enjoyed it and should probably enjoy the things around me more. You know, we don't appreciate what's in our backyard quite often. So that was a good reminder.
Yeah, I mean, that's very true. It's the same over here. If we live close to somewhere, we don't tend to visit it. Yeah. And people assume because you live close to it that you do and you know all about it. And actually you don't. So it is fairly similar. So, yes, I hope that's answered your question. So let's just kind of get into a little bit about what it is that you do. I'll let you explain that because obviously you can do that a million times better than I can. And then we'll just
sure about that.
and then we'll just kind of get down to a few things that I'm dying to know.
No pun intended, right?
No. Oh gosh, no. Oh no, you're ahead of me there.
So what I do right now, my primary business is social media for funeral home industry. I actually started years ago. I started building websites in the late 90s. And so I've been creating content and doing things online for about 20 years. Of course, I got into social media as soon as it came around. And once it became a viable business, I started offering social media services. And I didn't offer it to funeral homes, never even crossed my mind. It wasn't a market I went after. But I made a friend when I was working part-time as a reporter at a local newspaper. He was at every event that I was at, and he worked for a funeral home. He's a pre-need specialist for a funeral home. And, you know, we became friends, and he once he knew what I did for a living, he asked me to help him with the Facebook page for the funeral home that he was working for. And so I started helping him with that. We ended up being the first funeral home on Pinterest. And out of that grew this business. And so now all of my clients, except one, are funeral homes.
Oh my goodness.
So it's just, you know, we found our niche, and it's been very good for us. And actually, you know, if we get into talking about entrepreneurship, even in your industry, finding your niche is the best thing you can do. It's how your business is going to flourish.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And obviously you happened upon it by accident.
I did.
It wasn't an area, because I think, as I said to you, I wouldn't automatically put social media and funeral homes in the same sentence.
Right.
You don't kind of think about advertise. I don't know. I've never thought about advertising or using social media.
When my friend came to me about doing, you know, the social media, helping him with the one page, which is where we started, and I suggested, you know, getting onto Pinterest as well. Even though he's worked in the industry for years as a pre-need specialist, I've done marketing and content for years. And so for me, it was not something difficult to think about. So if you ask me, and he did, you know, what can we do? What kind of posts can we do? What kind of content can we create? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Funerals are all about community.
Yeah.
They're all about conversations. They're all about community, food, clothing, flowers, you know, even the urns and the monuments they're all beautiful. So they're all picturesque things that you can focus on, which was really important for Pinterest because it is very visual. Facebook is too, but you know, you can get away with it's not as visual as Pinterest
No.
or Instagram. So, for me, it was an easy thing to think about in terms of what kind of content. And really, with any business, it's kind of a learn as you go, because even though you have an audience in your mind, you absolutely should have, a customer avatar in mind for who you're serving. When it comes to building an online community, you really don't know where that community is going to take you. And so the community that you have when you start and the type of content that you're putting out doesn't mean that 3 months from now it's going to be the same. You have to pay attention to who's there and what's resonating with them, and you have to alter your tactics, based on that. And so it really is, you have to invest a lot of time. I think that's what surprises people when they get into social media for their business. They just didn't consider how much time it takes to do it well. Now, if you just want to schedule some posts out for the next month, have at it. It's not going to get you any kind of engagement. Your reach is not going to be good. It's not going to be good. Is it a good return on your investment? Sure. You spent, 2 hours scheduling out a month's worth of content. You don't have that much invested in it, but is it going to be good for your business? No, it's not. And so, we've noticed, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you carry on. That's fine.
I was going to say that we've noticed with the customers that we serve, even though we may have funeral homes that are in the same location that are serving the same group of people, the needs of that group online may be completely different. We'll post something on a page and it will just take off. People will have comments, they're sharing it, it's wonderful. So we're like, oh, this is good. We need to replicate this for XYZ company because they're in the same region and it's going to do great. And it'll totally flop. So it really is, your customers will dictate what you do online, but you have to pay attention to know what that is.
And I was going to say, and that's actually, you've sort of neatly tied into something that I'm actually doing at the moment. One of my focuses is building my network, basically just sort of getting out there, which is partly why I do these shows as well. Also because I love hearing about what other people do, and I think that's the author in me. I'm just really keen to find out what goes on, in other people's working lives. But I have been, not so much now because I've been doing this for a while now, but I have been absolutely astounded at how much time social media takes. And I think you're right, because to say to somebody else who is not trying to run a business online that it takes, X amount of hours, there's really, how long does it take to pop something on Facebook or pop something on Twitter or, take a photo and stick it on Instagram or whatever. And I can actually hear that argument myself as well, because I think, why are you spending this long doing it? But, as an example, I spent all day yesterday scheduling people for my live shows up until July. So I am now sorted with my live shows up until July. So that's great. But that was a whole day where I didn't do any writing. I didn't do anything that will grow my business, because obviously my book is my product. So I didn't do any of that. And that's a pretty typical day. There's emails, obviously. And like you say, if you want to keep an eye on what your customers are doing or where they are, you've got to be present to see what they're doing and kind of feed off them. And it's an absolute minefield. And you're right. People just don't appreciate that it takes ever such a long time. And it's great. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it can be frustrating sometimes as well, because for me, it's like, I just want to write. Just to pick up, we've got a couple of comments. Obviously, they will never run out of customers. Your funeral homes.
Right.
Okay. And a question here from Sandra. So how many customers do you have? Sorry if you said this a bit earlier, as I lost contact for a while.
No,
my Wi-Fi
I did not say that. Right now I have 23. The business is just 2 years old. So, and it's all word of mouth. We've not done any kind of advertising or anything. We partnered with another company that does marketing for funeral homes. The only thing that they didn't offer in the marketing world was social media. And so we were a nice fit for them. And through that partnership, we've got a really big opportunity coming up that I fully expect to double what we have right now by the end of March. So it's going to grow quickly because of this opportunity, and the opportunity is with through this partnership. Essentially, we'll have about 150 sales reps promoting our services. So,
fantastic.
Yeah. So it's been, it's when I did social media for all of these years, I've never done this full time until the last 2 years, because I just wasn't comfortable. I didn't have enough clients to sustain me, and I wasn't comfortable leaving at least that part-time job that I was doing. And, it's scary to own your own business. There's just everything falls on you. You work way more hours than you work when you work a 9 to 5. You don't have, here in the U.S., you don't have insurance and you don't have benefits unless you work for another company. Working for yourself, then you have to figure out how to, supply your family with medical insurance and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a scary thing to walk away from a regular corporate job here in the U.S. I know that you guys have different medical systems in place than what we do, but here it's a scary thing to do. And I've been able to do that over the last 2 years. And I won't lie and say that it's been, all roses. There's been some rough patches there. But I can't imagine now at this stage in my life and at my age working for someone else. It was never easy for me to work for somebody else anyway, to be quite honest. So I have like all of this experience where I've been working at least part-time in the tech industry. My degree is in mass communications, and I have a minor in organizational communications. And so when I work with another company, I see everything that's wrong. And they don't want me to tell them what's wrong.
No, I can imagine.
And so, I just have to be quiet and sit in my little cubicle and do my one job, which is never easy for me. And I don't like to do one thing. I get bored really, really easily, kind of all over the place of a person, I'm like that person. It's like, oh, look, there's a squirrel. Go chase it. And so I'm totally that kind of person. But working in this industry, that's not an issue because things constantly change. So it's, I'm constantly having to go learn something new. Facebook algorithm changed this. You can't do this on ads now. There's a new social network. What's that going to do? So there's something constantly for me to be able to go and chase. And I love that. I know it makes some people crazy. And sometimes it makes me a little crazy too, because it's difficult for me to explain what's going on the pages to the person that I'm running the page for. They don't understand the insights. They don't care. They don't want to understand. They just want to know this is not happening. And so sometimes that gets a little frustrating because it's out of our hands when something changes on Google, on Facebook. I did Google AdWords for years, and so Google came out of my mouth. But it was the same thing. If something changed, you're like just rush to try to catch up with whatever it is they're doing and make the tweaks that you need to make sure that you're getting the results that you want. So that can be frustrating. But for me, it's exciting because I've got, something new to go out and learn, and I don't get bored. And so I couldn't go back to doing a regular 9 to 5 corporate job.
And I do love this side of it. I love these live shows. I never thought I would. Obviously, I think I went live with you in a joint show with Stephen, and I think I was still quite new. I still get nervous, but I'm much more okay with it now. And but I do love doing these shows for nothing more than it. I get to meet such amazing people, and our paths would never have crossed in an ordinary world. You might have bought my book, but even if you had bought my book, you wouldn't necessarily have communicated with me or whatever. Right. And I think that social media and this live medium is a fantastic way to do that. But what's interesting, and you touched on the changes that we have to keep up with, and I won't go over old ground because the Facebook changes have been everywhere.
Oh, to death, yes.
And it's been done to death, and and everybody's been talking about it. But One thing that came up in one of my groups today about it was one of the ways of working with the changes seems to be doing the live videos, or certainly doing videos being more interactive, to encourage conversation, etc. So for you and I, who are already doing live videos, we're kind of like, yay, we're ahead of the game. Yeah. But one question was, are we, because everybody's going to be jumping on the live video bandwagon, are we now going to saturate Facebook with live videos? And so are we then going to turn people off because they're just going to go, oh, it's another live video, it's another live video, it's another live video. And I think, I was kind of interested to get your take on that, really.
Yeah, I think there's always the risk of that. And certainly it probably will get to be an annoyance to some people. But most people use social media because they crave interaction. They're looking to connect with people. That's originally what this whole platform was built on. And that's exactly what, Zuckerberg is trying to get back to, is meaningful connections between people. Now, there can be meaningful connections between people and brands, but that requires the brand to have people interacting with other people on their behalf. So I don't see it as a negative. I think it's going to be a challenge. For the funeral home industry, especially, they're kind of like the newspaper industry. They really are kind of a legacy product, and it's hard to move people that's been in business for hundreds of years into something new. Yeah. It's still a struggle to get them to do live video. We push it quite a bit, and we actually do a regular show on Monday about the funeral industry and about the pre-need industry, and we have our clients on our show. So that takes the pressure off of them trying to have to do one themselves. And we just broadcast it live to their pages. Yeah. But really, they need to be doing live. Everyone needs to be doing live. I think we will see some saturation, but you will only be shown live video from the people and the pages that interest you. And if you don't interact with those pages, you don't have conversations on those pages, you're not going to see them.
That's what I was thinking, because I was thinking about it after the question was raised, and my initial thought was, yes, there will be live videos everywhere, but then like you said, I was thinking about it afterwards. I was thinking, well, if I don't want to, for example, watch a live video about a funeral home, then I'm not going to follow your pages. But if I did, then I would follow your pages. And so if they appeared on my feed, you've then got a choice. Do I watch it? Don't I watch it? It's something I'm interested in. I might not. So I'm kind of with you on that. And I think that was sort of where I came around to with my thought process, was if people are like, we all get people that like for the sake of liking, for want of a better word. But I think people that genuinely like us and what we do, they are still going to be interested in what we've got to say, regardless of however many hundreds of live videos there are out there. So that's sort of where I've come around to with it. And certainly for me, I don't see any reason to not carry on, really.
Yeah. Well, I think, with Facebook in particular, and I think this holds true for any social media platform, you have like three different types of people. So you have the person who likes your page. Really, we like everything. That's become part of the problem. Facebook has just completely disregard likes now. It used to be a big deal in how they determined what to show people was based on likes, but it's just so easy to sit here and like, and as opposed to actually making a comment, or at least taking the time to put in a reaction or a GIF or something, a GIF, I don't know how you guys say it over there, here both ways. So either way. GIF. So, likes are completely unimportant. This is like the first conversation I have with a client. Do not pay attention to likes. Likes are nothing more than a vanity number. They don't mean anything about the number of people you're reaching. They mean nothing. You can have 500 likes and have a reach of 30,000. You can have 30,000 likes and have a reach of 500. Likes do not make any difference whatsoever. No. So, while they're nice, they're not that important. So I think you have the people who like page, you have followers, and that's the person that takes the extra step to follow your page, which means they're at least interested in some of the stuff that you're doing. And then you have a fan. A fan is a person that comes and watches you all the time. They're always commenting. They're always sharing. They're your fan. They're going to be there probably on every platform that you're on. They're going to find you and follow you. So, ideally we want fans. We want people who love what we do and what we're putting out there. And I know that sounds weird for a funeral home, but funeral homes are really community driven. They're very involved in their communities. They're usually involved in charitable, events. They're out in the community all the time. And they're part of the family for a lot of people. If you think about, this is a business where your customer, you're touching them at a point in their life that's one of the most devastating points. Yeah. And so your customer service and how you treat them is going to be so much more meaningful to them than the person they bought a car from. Yeah. And so a lot of times people consider funeral homes like part of the family, and you'll see families continue to use the same funeral service generation after generation. And it's because of that connection that you made. So for me, social media is a natural place for funeral homes to be, but they forget, like they see it as this like digital ad platform instead of seeing it as an extension of community. And that's really all it should be, is an extension of your community. So, you're not going to go live. We do live stream funerals. Now, we don't live stream them to our public page. They're usually live streamed to a private URL, and the family gets that URL and they can go and view. And that's for people who can't make it to the funeral. They live out of the country, they're shut-ins, whatever the case may be. But there are opportunities to live stream events in the community. We had a funeral home that had a fishing tour for the clergy in their community. And so it was a wonderful opportunity to live stream. I think there's lots of opportunities for live streaming. A lot of the funeral homes today are doing other things other than just having funerals. They actually have weddings and birthday parties at the funeral homes because they have these beautiful facilities. They've spent millions of dollars building out gorgeous facilities, and a lot of them have, other things are going on other than funerals there. So there really is a lot more opportunity than you might think for doing social media as we think of it for a funeral industry. And then
it's about looking. I was just seeing a couple of comments come in. Okay, sorry, I got sidetracked for a minute. It's about looking beyond the obvious, I think, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And I think that's true. Certainly for me, that's what I'm finding now, is that in order for me to kind of build my network and, try to kind of, sort of get more readers, get more, more interest, then obviously it is a case of looking beyond the, like you say, it's not an obvious fit to have the social media in the funeral homes. So, I think
so being new to the funeral industry, it's not new to marketing and social media and technology, but I am new to the funeral industry. And, what I've learned about this industry is it's not about death. It's about the living. The funeral home serves the living. They serve the family of the person that's passed. And so, to have, everything that we do really is about life and legacy. So, live the best life that you can and think about the legacy that you're leaving behind. And so it's really much less about death to me than it is about living, and I think there's all kinds of opportunities. Now, there are also opportunities for, creating posts and content around grief. People have very difficult times with the grieving process sometimes. And, that's an opportunity for us to educate them and to connect them with resources that can help them through their grief. So I've come to really enjoy this industry, and I find it really fulfilling to be able to help people through some of the most difficult times of their life. So it's an honor for me to work in this industry. And I didn't think that going into it necessarily. I didn't have a negative idea going into it, but I didn't really think that I would enjoy it as much as I do.
No. I just want to say, for anybody that's watching, we've got some strange comments coming up now, and this does happen from time to time. So anybody that's watching on the live stream or anybody that's watching on the replay, it's one of those it's one of those things that does happen from time to time.
I've never had this happen. I've been doing live streaming for like a year now, and I've never had like any weird comments. come up. Now I've had the occasional, off-color joke. Maybe that wasn't the most appropriate for my industry, but I've not had like just bizarre comments like I'm seeing coming up here.
No, it's certainly it's entertaining, if nothing else. But we do have, I've got it on the screen there, we do have a comment from Sandra who is basically saying that the idea of live streaming live streaming let me just see if I can get it. Yeah. The idea of private streaming of a funeral is brilliant. Some people feel bad about not being able to attend. And I think that's very valid, especially if you are talking about people that are in other countries or in, different parts of the world or whatever. So I think, to be able to do that, then that's great. What I will say about these comments is it's doing great for our viewing figures, Tina.
Very strange. Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with all the comments, but yeah, you're right. Having the private streaming of the funeral service is important. There are people who can't come out because they're homebound, they're ill, they can't leave their homes. And then we have military personnel who are serving overseas that can't come in for funerals. So I think it's a really great idea. One of the most kind of, I don't necessarily want to say bizarre, but it hasn't taken off. And we have a funeral home actually here in Tennessee that's in Memphis that has a drive-through funeral home.
Oh, wow.
And so they converted a bank and they left the window and you can drive up and do your viewing there and pay your respects and drive through. So I'm not really sure, how all of it works. I've just seen articles about it, but I think it's an interesting idea in this busy society. If it's an option for people that work for them to be able to kind of come by and pay their respects, then I guess that's okay.
Are you?
I like just so, I don't know what to think about the comments, but yeah, okay.
I think they've picked up on the drive-through funeral parlour as well. So yes, we will try our best to soldier on. We do. I wanted to ask you, I think probably briefly, we'll just talk a little bit about this, you mentioned at the outset the entrepreneurship, and part of that, well, not necessarily always, but part of that certainly for you and for me involves working from home. And so I just wanted to touch on the sort of challenges that can bring. Obviously, at the moment, you've got a house full of children, so it's not as relaxed as you would like it to be. And how, we balance everything with, just kind of almost being a one-man band and having to do all your social media and your marketing and everything else. So I was just going to kind of get your view on that, really.
Yeah, I love it because of the flexibility mostly. I still have small children at home. I have kids that range in age from 9 to 27. So I have 5.
Yeah.
So we got 2 in college, 1 in high school, and 2 in grade school. And to be able to have the flexibility to, if I need to take a day off or whatever, my daughter just came up. Hey.
Thanks. Thank you for watching that.
You're welcome.
This last crystal burn.
I'm good, thank you.
I'm
I'm still live.
Okay. All right, love you. Thanks.
You're welcome. So, this is part of live, though. People always get so freaked out about going live. Like, what if something happens? I've had a cat jump on my head. I've had stuff fall from behind me. The kids come running up. It doesn't matter. You just keep going. Life, it's real life. And I think that's what's appealing to people about the live is that it's real people with real stuff happening around them. And I think that makes it more interesting. But back to the entrepreneurship, the flexibility is what's most important to me. At some point, I didn't get to travel until late in life, and I really want to do more traveling. And this business will allow me to do that. At some point to be able to travel. Now, things I don't like are dealing with finances. I'm terrible at math. I hate it. I'm probably going to end up hiring an accountant very soon because it's just, a headache for me. So there's good and bad. I think the worst thing about being an entrepreneur and working for yourself is that you work yourself to death. Our work is at home, and so we really never put it down. I quite often will sit here from the time I wake up, usually around 5 or 5:30 in the morning, until about 10 o'clock at night when I go to bed. I'm sitting here working, and I enjoy the work that I do for the most part, and so I don't even realize that the time has gone. And so I think it's really easy to kind of ignore the other parts of your life that you need to be paying attention to when you work at home. And that can cause a lot of problems. It can cause problems with your health. It can cause problems with your relationships with your family and with your spouse. So I definitely think that it's, there's good and bad. It's just what you prefer. Now, I'm much happier and healthier working here than I was working for someone else and being aggravated all the time.
Yeah. So, yeah. It gives you that. It does give you that incredible flexibility, but it obviously does. It does present its challenges as well, as you've just said. But crazy comments coming in now. I'd just like to say hi to all of you crazy people that are watching and putting all these really crazy comments on. You're giving us a good laugh, which is great. And if you want to go and buy my book, that would be even better. So
I thought maybe you'd publish this out on a comedy page or something.
My website will be on at the end. So, hi, we've got an extra guest.
Okay, go play.
Okay,
after I'm done.
So working from home. So it is obviously flexible. It gives you a lot of benefits, but trying to maintain that rigidity that you have from going out for 9 to 5 or whatever can be incredibly difficult.
It's hard to do the work-life balance when you work at home because the two kind of mesh together and you don't have that clear separation like you do when you go off to a work space and then you come home and you're done. And another part of working at home is clearly you have crazy little people that come in and interrupt your work every 5 minutes, even when you're live on the camera and told them not to. So, there's distractions that become a problem sometimes,
I think it's kind of, it started off as a very, we were talking very sensibly and very seriously, and I think it's kind of rapidly gone downhill, which is absolutely fine because that's, like you say, that's all part of the live show. Obviously, Sandra's agreeing about getting the work-life balance, and that is obviously very important. So, although I know you're all having fun in the comments there, I am actually going to close out the show now because we have run a little bit over time.
Well, we could start another business as talent agents for comedians since we have an audience for them.
I think we could. We've definitely got quite a few people we could audition there, haven't we?
That's great advice from your husband.
Yes. And I think if you're watching this on replay, if you don't do anything else other than scroll through the comments, then it will make your day.
You can be very confused about what this was about if you just scroll through the comments.
The show has gone completely out of context. It is not. It is not anything to do with what we were talking about. But if you do nothing else, scroll through the comments. So anyway, as I say, I'm going to close out the show now. I'm going to pop my website up for all of these lovely people that have joined us to go and buy my book. And I'm just going to check we haven't got any other comments from
that are relevant.
Relevant. That's a good word. I was trying to think, what can I say? Relevant. Yes. Yeah. So Mark says plug your book, which is what I am doing. If you've all got wives, girlfriends, friends, whatever, visit my website, get your free download, and buy my book. I'm just going to put my website on here while we're at it as well, and then you can go and have a little look. Oh, that would help if I can type. So the movie is actually going to be coming out when Hollywood comes knocking. So we're just waiting for that to happen. But more than welcome, anybody that's interested in making a movie of my book. So Thanks for that question. That's fab.
Yes, buy Anne Marie's book. check out her services. You don't want my services right now.
No, we don't. We will do at some point, but not right now. No. Yes, it is on Amazon, and I know that's probably not a serious question, but yes, it is on Amazon, and it is not about couches. No, my book is not about couches. So,
yes, I'm so sorry this went south.
Well, you are south, aren't you? So, okay, that's fair enough.
And we'll blame it on the Jack Daniels.
Oh, dear. Right, thank you for joining me, Tina. It's been entertaining. I will obviously catch you again soon, and maybe we'll do another one in the not in the near future, but maybe we'll do another one at some point and see whether or not we get such interesting interaction next time. But thanks everyone for watching. Thank you for all of you people that have come on here to just kind of say hi in your own unique way, and thank you everybody for watching now and on the replay. We will see you again soon. Thanks ever so much. All right, take care. Bye. Bye.